What's going on YouTube? Today we are checking out a Hoghouse Knives Model T. Now, if you guys don't know much about this brand, you wouldn't be by yourself, you wouldn't be alone. This is fairly new-ish to the scene, I'd say. In the last little while, it's getting a little more trendy. This is kind of how it comes in a nice little box. Nothing on really any side of it. Other than that, I guess there is a little bit of a sleeve that it comes on as well. Maybe I'll show that. It just comes wrapped around it. Custom knives made in Finland. And then that Hoghouse logo, which is pretty cool. Now, a fun fact about these guys, or a fun little story, they started off as, I think, like a machine shop in an old pig farm or something, and hence where Hoghouse kind of came from. This particular knife is their everyday carry, as we will kind of go into detail and see. Everyone comes with this nice little card in there. Some really nice artwork. I think it looks real sharp. Nice little pig. And on the back of it is the information for authenticity's sake. And this one, number 142, Model T, February 2023, M390 blade. Now I think they were making a couple different versions of this. I want to say they were doing some RWL 134s. I think. Not too sure. But M390 is obviously my preferred steel, as you've probably seen. And some signatures of Tapio and, is it William? Something like that. And then the knife itself. So, oh, there you go. Established 2021, right on the box there. So that should tell you when they were all established. So I'm not going to get into too much detail with the box itself. I don't think there's anything in the bottom of it, but I will, off camera, gently just wiggle this foam loose. No, it's glued in there, so that's not going anywhere. And put this to the side. So, here we go, Model T. This one's fairly new to me, so we're going to kind of give it the quick conversation, or I shouldn't say quick, we're going to give it the conversation of overview, discussion, the fireside chat, and whether or not I'd recommend it, or who I would recommend it for, that kind of thing. So, first and foremost, this guy is a folding knife, full titanium. Really nice engraving, nice little Model T. Some pretty cool hardware. Now these look like screwdrivers, like flathead. I don't know if that's necessarily my cup of tea, but it is what it is. Let's get this guy out. Really nice and smooth. Came out without any issues. Oh, it's got a real nice Hoghouse kind of logoing on there. Hopefully the camera doesn't mess that up, but as you can kind of see, that looks real nice. You can see all the nice marks on here. So, let's kind of get over this one. So, as I was kind of saying earlier, it's a full titanium frame. Super, super well machined. This guy is sub 3 ounces as well. Just food for thought in that, a bug out is in the 2 ounce conversation. An ounce more for a full tie. Very, I want to say, like a dressy style knife. Plain Jane model here, obviously, but certainly a dressy style. I want to say it's almost 8 inches, 7 3/4 maybe. Let's measure this, 7 and just a hair under 7 3/4. So yeah, pretty close. With a blade of 3.5, right around there. So super, super useful carry size, and if we're going to compare it against some of its competitors, we've got a Herman Knives Ishbar, I believe it's called. A little bit bigger. We could do the Benchmade bug out for reference as well. As I mentioned earlier, it's probably more fitting to that size as a comparable, and I apologize, I use this knife all the time. The Grimsmo Rask would be another one I'd kind of say it's very similar to. Also absolutely love this knife. Love the Rask. So I'd say it's probably in the Rask conversation with the bug out. And then what else would be kind of small? So I'm kind of doing this, maybe the mini FSD from Brown. Very similar as well in size. Compared to, and remember this is at an angle, right? So we're kind of shooting at an angle back. So things from the front look a little bit, just a hair bigger, right? So FSD, that's the mini FSD, I should say. And then maybe we'll do a neon as well, neon 0 from Shirogorov, because that's pretty similar as well. Not the full size, but here we go with a neon 0. Very, very similar size-wise in the blade, but not so much in the handle. The handle of this knife is where I think a lot of people who like thin knives are going to really like this knife, and the guys who don't like thin knives handles are going to say, yeah, you know what, it's a little thin, which is fine. So there's a comparison of the neon 0 and the hoghouse in that regard. So let's put that away and put a few of these away so I don't make a big mess or scratch anything up here. I know I am using a wood cutting board, so it is a little softer than than titanium. Okay, so as I talked about here, so we do have a folding titanium frame. I can't tell if it's got that lock bar steel in it. Well, it does not have an over travel stop, I can tell you right now. And if I were to guess, it's kind of hard to see. Let me take a look off camera. I don't believe it has a different steel for the lock bar. I don't think it has that lock bar insert, which is fine. On a dress knife, this is not meant to be a hard user. Feel in the hand, it's very small, I would say, compared to kind of some of the other knives in this category. It is quite thin. So if I were to make suggestions for myself, not the owner of this or buyer of this, I wish the handle was a little bit, width-wise it's good, but height-wise, I'd like to see it just a little bit more filled out. Blade stock. This is the one that I was kind of a little shocked by originally. It has got a very thick blade stock. Now, I don't have calipers with me to measure this up against, but comparing it to, there's your bug out. That should tell you everything you need to know, right? It's a lot thicker. I don't know the measurements exactly, but let's see if I can find a Sebenza here to give you a reference point as well. There's your Sebenza. So I think it's actually thicker. Yep, it's thicker than the blade stock on a Sebenza. Which, and you know what, maybe, just for shits and giggles, why don't we compare those? Well, there's your standard Sebenza against it, and do I have a small here? There's a small drop point as well. So, probably, yeah, so kind of in between the two in that regard in sizing. So let's kind of get into the knife here, guys. So we've got some really, really nice titanium machine work on the scale. It looks phenomenal. Really good texture. I would say it's almost angled in a way that's kind of back towards, or back and down as well, which is really awesome because that's kind of how you want it to be, holding the grip. The blade stock's huge, as I mentioned. Almost thicker than what I was expecting. Kind of surprised at that. We've got that nice Model T engraving on there, and this being very young, because what did I say, it was 150-ish or something, so fairly youthful knife as well. They haven't undergone a ton of changes. The lock bar bend, you can kind of see how they achieve this. So they do some cutouts there to allow it to bend. The pocket clip, fairly, it's not that deep. So it's not that deep. So you're looking at about there is how much you'd be sticking out, which it's quite a bit actually sticking out on a small knife. So, you know, is that something to look at changing? I'm not sure. Machining wise on the inside, it's just very, very thin. I don't believe they've done any machine work on the inside of this that I can tell. And I'll grab a light here temporarily. Hopefully that can focus and see, but you can see the light reflecting around in there, so I believe it's smooth. Which is fine because it's a very thin stock on the titanium. No jimping, so purchase on this wise, you know, quite comfortable. Nothing on the top, so the top of the blade here is flat for your thumb as well. So, you know, I am reminded that one of my favorite YouTubers always refers to knife nerdery. He always talks about, you know, if a knife fits your hand well, you don't need jimping, and that's stuck with me for a long time. And you know, this might be one of those knives where I'd be curious to hear his thoughts on this, because I think he's got size medium glove hands and I'm an XL, and to me this is a little small, size wise of the knife, but ergo wise I could see this being a real nice fit for like a smaller hand, like a real nice fit. He might really like that. The choice of the hardware, as I mentioned earlier, kind of like a small flathead, and they actually do stick out of the frame a little bit, I'd say, which I don't know if I can zoom in and show that very well, but you can see how they do definitely have some edges to them. Now I don't know if that's my knife or if that's all of them, but I definitely say that is something I do notice, in that they do pop up a little bit. And remember, this is a knife that's in that category of, I think it's like around 600 US. So the expectation is high with things like that. You don't want to be dealing with hot spots necessarily. Ergonomics on the actual lock bar is quite good. Action, you know, it's controlled. It's not loose or anything like that. And I guess I should actually check this. Yeah, there's no play whatsoever. This is an extremely well-made knife with high tolerances and heavy attention to detail. This is a knife that I have a feeling feels very delicate and very fine, but can definitely do some damage. What is just so surprising to me more than anything is the fact that they've gone with that really thick blade stock on such a thin handle stock, which means it's probably balanced. No, pretty even balance. Maybe that's why they did that. Shocker, hey? Cool. Yeah, it's you know what? I thought it'd balance a little more forward because of the heavier front blade, but yeah, that balance is right on the tip there, right where you'd hold it. So quite nice. I believe on the inside, did we have any writing of any kind? There was something. Oh, it's stamped on the inside there. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. It's kind of awkward. But the serial number is stamped 142, number 0142, just right here on the inside. Hopefully you can see that. If not, not a big deal. So it is. So each one is individualized, which is kind of cool. When you aren't just getting a COA, certificate of authenticity, that says the number, but it is actually stamped on the knife, which is awesome. Nice thick back spacer as well. Looks terrific. And you know, another thing here is that because the handle's so thin, you're going to want to definitely put a cap on top of this, just so you're because like look how thick the blade is, right? The stock, so you're going to have a big opening there. So to cap that off is a smart design choice, so your finger doesn't get in there and cut itself up. Pocket clip wise, pretty basic, other than it's fairly shallow, but yeah, pretty good design wise. Oh, it's just hovering too, eh? Look at this. You can just hear that, hopefully. It's just like microns above the frame. So that's kind of cool. The other thing too is, where is that hitting? The pressure point from it will hit on the top frame rather than on the lock bar itself. So if you are squeezing it, right, You're not putting any pressure on the lock bar for when you do want to open it, which is pretty important, right? So typically I like to just kind of hold these knives like this. You know, if you're feeling the clip on the back with your fingers, you know that you're going to be able to shoot it out. Action's good. You know, like I said, it's controlled. I like to kind of put it, this is my usual test, and this should give you an angle of my camera, but when I have the balance of the blade high and you kind of start pushing it forward, will it drop on its own or will it be controlled? And this guy, as you can kind of see, it's controlled. It's got a good even pressure. Just a very, very well made knife. Now, I don't actually know if this guy is on bearings or not. I would assume so. It's very smooth. It doesn't feel like it would be on Foster bronze, but I'm also looking at the tolerances in here going, that's very, very tight. So would it shock me if it was on washers? No, but it doesn't feel like it's on washers. So, yeah. Hopefully you can get a good feel on this. It's definitely one, I'm not really used to it being so petite. You know? It fires out real easy. Real nice and controlled. So yeah, real nice knife. Very, very impressed with the attention to detail on it more than anything. That's kind of what I'd say this knife really impresses me with. It's just that attention to detail on all the machine work. The blade's beautiful as well. Now, it is very tough to see this as well on the blade, but it's actually, you can see that it's milled left to right here, and it's got kind of a satin smooth finish on top. And you can actually see, if you look very close, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, it's so light. I don't know if the camera's going to get that. You should be able to see some lines, not like a Grimsmo, but like you should see some of the lines very, like micro milling. So you can see at the top of the blade there. This is very tough to show. I can't. Oh, wow. I'm also looking at a 2-inch screen, so I don't know if it's going to show up in 4K or not, but anyway, there's lots of little micro milling on the actual blade itself, which looks fantastic. So we've gone over the action, gone over the size, talked about some of the comparables. Now, things that I would adjust or tweak or improve. And remember, when we're talking at this price point, you can essentially say that, you know, I want to put a Shark with laser beams logo on it, and it's valid because I am the consumer of this, and it's what I want. I don't want sharks with laser beams, but nonetheless, I will digress. Handle-wise, if I were to fix this for me, the extra large hand, I would want this to be a little bit taller in the back end, which is fine. If you look at the ergonomics, you know, they're certainly going for something here, and that is fine. So I'm not worried about it. Jimping, debatable. Not sure if I need it on a dress knife like this. I wouldn't say no either, but that's just because that's what I know and that's what I'm used to. So I wouldn't say no to jimping, but then again, like I said, doesn't necessarily need it. Hardware-wise, I'd really not like to see flathead screwdrivers, flathead bits, especially when they're not even, right, on the detail side of things. You know, there's no reason those shouldn't be absolutely even. Once they're tightened down, that to me just doesn't look balanced. And like I said, I don't know if that's my knife. This particular one sticks out a little bit, just a hair, whereas this one doesn't. Both on the back stick out just a hair as well, so not too sure what's going on there. But you know, I'm allowed to be nitpicky at this price point. If this was a Hinderer, would I be talking about that? No. You know, it's a few $100s cheaper. You know, a Benchmade, would I be talking about it? Look, I wouldn't be talking about the blade play on a Benchmade, because you get what you get. To give you an idea. So, But yeah, super well done knife. Other than a couple little things, a couple little tweaks. I don't know if I've showed this side enough. If you guys want to check that out some more. Assuming if you're watching it this far in, you probably do want to check some of this stuff out. Average view time on this stuff's like less than 2 minutes, so I don't know why I do 20 minutes, but for the couple people that want to watch it, sure. There you go. So that is the Hoghouse Model T. I'd be curious to try their bigger guy. They've got one, can't recall what it's called, but there's one that's like a 4-inch blade folder, which looks great. And if they do the same attention to detail on that as they do on this, then it's going to be a great piece. So that's it, guys. Any questions, leave them below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, check out the store, and if you have any questions, let me know, guys. Okay? That's it. Talk to you guys around.